77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.
The following is a Red Apple Podcast Network presentation.
They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's part. Bright light, city life, I gotta make it.
Welcome to Dominic Carter's podcast. This is Dominic Carter's City Hall. Now, here's Dominic Carter.
Red Apple Podcast Talk Radio 77 WABC. You can listen to me, Dominic Carter, twice on weekdays, live 3 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, Eastern Time, and then again live midnight to 1 a.m., and on Sundays, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. This race for New York City mayor is wildly unpredictable. This is my podcast. Let's go. Two Democrats, Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Eric Adams, are now independents in the general election. Cuomo, who left office under a cloud, calls up Eric Adams, the sitting mayor of New York City, who, by the way, just dodged his indictment with the help from President Trump, and tells Adams to step aside, drop out. Exit stage left. Hold on, Cuomo. Wait a New York minute. Wasn't it just Zoran Mandami who beat you decisively by double digits, even in a crowded Democratic primary?
I am proud to have received the most votes of any Democratic nominee for mayor in a primary in New York City history. I'm proud of that because what it shows is that from Jamaica to Bensonhurst, from Bay Ridge to College Point, New Yorkers want a city they can afford, and they want leadership that understands the urgency of that need.
Meanwhile, Republican Curtis Sliwa says he's in it to win it, and he's not going anywhere. Adams says Cuomo has a lot of nerve.
Have you spoken to Andrew Cuomo at all?
Yes. Yes.
Talk to him about the potential for him getting out?
Well, you know, there's a real history with Andrew Cuomo, and particularly black elected officials. He did it to Carl McCall. He went on the liberal line with Carl McCall when he was running for governor. Carl McCall lost. He pushed out Charlie King when he was running for attorney general after raising $5 million. He pushed out Charlie King. He did the same thing to David Paterson when David Paterson was governor. For him to see that I was on my own independent line prior to the race, and then for him to join it, he knew he was setting us up for this. He knew Madani's were going to be on the Rooker family card.
So has he asked you to step aside?
I'm sorry?
Has he asked you to step aside?
Yes. I said, Andrew, are you that level of arrogance? I'm the sitting mayor. I'm the sitting mayor of the city of New York. And you expect for me to step aside when you just lost to Zohan by 12 points. He was up 32 points, $30 million. You lost. They heard your message, and you lost. Now let a fresh set of legs that has produced for this city. And that's the highest level of arrogance.
Adams went on CNBC, where he didn't just clap back at Cuomo, he tore into the Democratic nominee, Mandami, too. You know, the socialists.
I got a different question for you. You probably saw the story over the weekend about Zoran claiming to be Asian and African-American in this application he made to Columbia. I'm curious just whether you think that should matter, whether, you know, he's made this argument that there were not enough boxes to check to represent his heritage. What do you personally think? There was a
box for, I believe, mixed ethnicity. There was a box. First of all, he was not American at the time. He just got his citizen a few years ago, I think in either 2018. It's not excusable. He said himself when he was interviewed, if he called himself African American, it would be misleading. During those times, you were identifying seats for particular groups to make sure you had diversity on the campus. It was the wrong thing to do. So instead of saying that I didn't have enough boxes, how about saying I'm sorry? How about saying I'm sorry that I did a video mocking Hanukkah? How about just standing up and say I'm sorry, I'm wrong? And I've said it over and over again. When I look at the analysis, what I had to put the city through, I said to New Yorkers, I'm sorry I had to put you through this, but I delivered for you. And I think the most humbling thing you could do is just say, listen, I'm sorry. I should not have done it.
Now we've got a standoff. Adams tells Cuomo, you get out. Cuomo tells Adams, no, you get out. It's a circular firing squad, folks. These two want to be the top dog in New York City, and something's gotta give. Former Governor David Paterson even held a press conference urging Democrats to unite to beat Mandami. Good luck with that, Governor, considering the egos of Cuomo and Adams.
With the distinct advantage of hindsight, I would like to amend my thoughts about a suggestion that was made by one of the candidates who is running for mayor. Jim Walden doesn't have significant poll numbers, and his ability to raise money is somewhat impaired. But he made a suggestion that at a certain point, the candidates who are still standing and running for office, that there would be some way to determine which of them would stand alone against the Democratic candidate who won the Democratic primary, Zohran Mamdani. And I thought at the time, that's just one of those things that, you talk about polls or surveys or that kind of thing to find that candidate. But now, in retrospect, I think that Mr. Walden is onto something. And one of the things he did was he made a suggestion that really would help the city more than it would help him, which is what we need in candidates now. People who look beyond themselves or their desires to go further and look at the complexion of the city and the problems it needs solved.
And the governor continued.
I asked to have this press conference today because I think that people who care about the city have got to come together at this point and start to push out the noise that is concerning this mayoral race that is unfortunately becoming louder and louder. And to do that, what we are really doing is calling on the candidates who are still in the race to find a way to unite behind one of them. Now, most candidates, you have to give them credit. They work hard. They're working 24/7. They're trying to get your vote. The idea of pulling back and supporting someone else is very difficult for anyone to accept. But when weighed against the progress of the city, when weighed against what we've seen happen in Chicago, in San Francisco, and in other cities, this is a possibility. New York has always been the inventor of impossibility. We're the greatest city in the world. Our economic development is greater than any country outside of even the United States. We can do this, but it's going to take a united effort, and it's going to take some sacrifice that someone is going to have to make this work.
Former New York Governor David Paterson, who backed Cuomo in the primary but played it close to the vest in calling for unity, joined by other officials, including the owner of this network, John Catsimatidis.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here today. I'm here to support my friends. As many of you know, I was a Democrat. I was a Bill Clinton Democrat. And we're here with Judge Weinberg, Richard Weinberg, who worked with, was either consigliere or chief of staff with Peter Vallone, and lifelong Democrat. We're here. Governor Paterson is here, and he was the governor of the state of New York. He was also the chair of the Democratic Party of New York State. And everybody has concerns. I live in New York City for over 70 years. I have concerns, and I think we need common sense to prevail. And that's the most important thing to me.
And if 4, maybe even 5 candidates stay in this race, it gives hope to Curtis Sliwa. Tell me your path to victory, especially considering it looks like Cuomo is not going to run in the general election.
Well, I disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I think he will. Tomorrow, he must remove himself from his independent line. If he doesn't, then that's an indication he's running. And I think all signs are that he's running because the New York Post has been unmerciful on him. I mean, look, he deserves it. I've been unmerciful on him. But to the point where you got to get out. You got to get out. Now, you know how Cuomo is. He took a hit, and he was stunned. He didn't expect that. I had predicted that 2 months before that Zoran Mandani would beat him just because I'm in the streets. I see the energy. I see the vibe.
I will give you that much. You're in the street. The other day when we text each other, and I do want to point out one thing for our listeners, and I don't want to, I didn't mean to cut you off. But initially I've been very critical of you running for mayor, and you haven't taken it personal. When we text each other, it's the same as I'm talking to my friend Curtis Sliwa, as much as we can be friends in the middle of a campaign. By the way, you look good in that suit, man. I don't
see that?
I don't think I've ever seen you in a complete suit.
Well, that's when people say, oh, you're running for mayor again. They see me in the suit. And by the way, today we had a huge fundraiser for the Asian community, which, remember, I was the first Republican the last time ever to win the Asian vote. And we were honoring Governor George Pataki, who is 80 years old, and Chairman Ed Cox. So the leadership of the Republican Party was there to support me. Congresswoman Stefanik has supported me. So has Mike Lawler. So the support is there. But I will tell you this. The most interesting thing is I've had to field calls all day because this degenerate liar, Eric Adams, and that's what he is. He always lies. And that's right. Degenerate liar. Went before businessmen last night, and I have it on record. And they asked him, well, what are you going to do about Curtis Sliwa? No problem. He already has a job in the White House. Lying. Yeah, you never see me. A visit to the White House with my sons just to show them, where the president and his family. I'm going to get a job in the White House.
I don't see that. I don't see that at all.
A separate group of people, showing you how the guy can lie twice in the same night. That means you're a degenerate liar. I've already offered to make Curtis Sliwa deputy mayor in my administration, and he's accepted it.
You mean Eric Adams?
Yes.
Okay, you said Curtis Sliwa.
Well, that's what it would have to be, because he ain't going to be the mayor. There ain't no way Eric Adams is going to be the mayor.
So when they bring up on a debate stage,
yes,
experience,
yes,
what are you going to say? Do you have a counter for that?
Wow. This experience of Bill de Blasio has done us so much, and Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams. I'm happy I don't have experience in government, because what has happened in these last 12 years in the city, we've gone right into the abyss with experience and guys wearing suits with ties. And then look at Andrew Cuomo, fled Albany. He was going to be impeached. Wow, they had a lot of experience collectively. They had education, right? Look at what it's led us to. So why wouldn't you want to move in a different direction? How could it be any worse, Dominic, than it is right now? You've been out in the streets. You see storefronts closing everywhere. Who's responsible for that? Eric Adams. But he acts, we're not surviving, we're thriving. Where? I see so much brown paper that we used to put on our school books. Remember when you couldn't afford Batman or Robin, school book paper? It's on windows everywhere. Why? Because of congestion pricing. A guy or a gal who owns a business does not have enough customer flow. They're closing up all over the place. We're on 3rd Avenue. I've counted 12 storefronts that are closed. City Hall. Look across from City Hall. 8 storefronts in a row closed, and they're not attached. There were separate businesses. Hey, Eric, go outside, and instead of looking up in the sky and saying, I am such a lucky guy, I should have been in jail, I get to run for mayor again. Look across the street. That's you, Eric. We can't blame that on anyone else but you. You've been the mayor, and these stores are closing all over.
Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. So for all the candidates in this race, tick-tock, tick-tock, somebody has got to get out. And that is all the time we have for this episode. You can listen to me, Dominic Carter, on weekday afternoons, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I'm back again live weeknights at midnight to 1 a.m. And on Sundays, 11 p.m. until 1 a.m., Red Apple Podcast Talk Radio 77, WABC.
I gotta make it.
Dominic Carter Socials on Twitter at Dominic TV and Facebook and Instagram. 77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. Dominic Carter TV. Email at dominic.carter@wabcradio.com. Until the next episode, be well. And as Dominic always says, stay positive. The glass is always half full, never half empty. Dominic Carter City Hall.